guys, I am Chandni and in this video I will be talking about snake plant, which is also known as Sansevieria or mother-in-law's tongue. This plant is an absolute favorite of mine and is super easy to care for. So if you are a beginner when it comes to home gardening or you want to get a bunch of plants home, make sure this one is on your list. Now this particular one that I have here is from Plant Mojo and it came with this beautiful planter. You should totally check out their website in case you are looking for some easy to care for plants, and they have an amazing collection of planters as well. If we talk about the care this plant needs, it is very important to know that this plant is a succulent, which means it stores water in its leaves. It requires watering once in 2 to 3 weeks, and what you need to ensure is that the soil has completely dried out. Now I would like to share a personal experience with you. When I got this plant for the very first time, I ended up killing it. Now that happened because I kept overwatering the plant. Now when I say overwatering, it means that I used to water the plant when the soil in the planter was still moist. This is one thing that we need to avoid when it comes to snake plant. Given that it's a succulent, it is extremely drought tolerant, so you do not have to worry that this plant will dry out in case you forget watering it. But please ensure that the soil in the container or the planter that this plant has been planted in has completely dried out before you decide to water it again. If we talk about the light conditions, then this plant thrives in bright indirect light but can also tolerate low to medium light conditions. In case you have a plant that you've kept in a low light or a medium light area in your house, make sure you get it and keep it in an area where it gets bright indirect light once in a week. Now why I am insisting on bright indirect light is because when you keep this plant in this particular light condition, it thrives. The color of the leaves is much darker and the patterns are much richer. A snake plant really does not need fertilizer to grow, but if you do decide to fertilize your plant, there is no harm. The plant will grow better. You can use any organic fertilizer, or if you do decide to use an inorganic fertilizer, you should choose one which has an equal proportion of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, the three very important minerals for a healthy plant growth. You can fertilize your plant once in 2 to 3 months. This plant really doesn't need repotting that often. It will need repotting only when there is no further room for growth or when you see that the roots have started coming out of the drain holes. Now, repotting is also a great time to propagate the plant. You can divide the roots and create different plants and plant them in different planters. But one of the most effective ways of propagation is through leaf cutting. You can take a leaf cutting and put it in water and allow for the roots to grow. Now once the roots start emerging, you can take the leaf cutting and plant it in soil. What you need to ensure is that you keep changing the water in which you've kept the leaf cutting. It will ensure a healthier growth of roots. All the plant care tips that I just shared in the video will ensure that your plant remains healthy. But what will ensure that your plant remains healthier for a longer period of time is when you keep checking on the plant once in every 2 to 3 days. And in case you see any kind of an irregularity, you bring in the desired corrective action. So what are the things that you should keep a lookout for? One, if you see that the edges of the tips of the leaves have started turning brown or the edges have started turning brown, that means your plant is not getting enough water or the watering schedule is irregular. You need to correct the watering schedule and make sure that you water the plant in regular intervals. If you see that the leaf has started falling over, that means that it is not getting enough sunlight. You need to then move your plant into an area where it could get bright indirect light. If you see that the leaves have started turning yellow and they are becoming mushy or soggy, that means you are overwatering the plant. You need to stop watering the plant immediately and allow for the soil to dry out completely. Another thing that you need to make sure is that you don't touch these spiky ends of the leaves, because if this end breaks, the plant will stop growing. I really hope that all the information that I've shared in this video has helped you understand snake plant a little better and will also help you take better care of your plant. So if you have one at home, you now know what to do. And in case you do not have a snake plant at home, I suggest go ahead, get this beautiful plant home and watch it grow. Namaste.